Welcome to the show, everyone. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, we're going to be talking about HoloChain. Think outside the blocks. HoloChain wants to create a framework for developers to build decentralized applications and aims to change the paradigm of data-centric blockchains to an agent-centric system. We're going to break down what that means after a massive thank you to you guys for continuing to support the channel and being part of the cryptocurrency community. Your support's awesome, so thank you guys so much for being part of this. And of course, you do have to remember that this is not professional financial advice, guys. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Of course, why are we talking about HoloChain this week? It has won the Community Coin of the Week vote, so well done to everyone who came out and voted. Now let's get into what HoloChain does. So what is HoloChain all about? Well, they seek to improve on what they perceive as being some of the failings of blockchain. Now, HoloChain is actually quite an old project. The guys behind it were behind the Meta currency project. In fact, they've been developing this idea since before the Bitcoin white paper was written. So it's been around for quite a while. If you go over to their GitHub repository, it is nice and full of juicy little bits of code. They already have an alpha running. They also have a peer-to-peer Twitter, which is currently running as well. More of a proof of concept, but nevertheless, it is there. HoloChain is not a blockchain, and HoloFuel will not be a token or a cryptocurrency, or at least as they imagine it to be. It's going to work in a different way. HoloFuel, for example, will not be created from nothing like many cryptocurrencies are. There will always be an offsetting debit for any credit made on the system. So it's really a system of mutual accounting credit, designed to function, of course, as a medium of exchange across the ecosystem. Let's have a dive into it a little bit more and kind of get the idea behind it. They wanted to mix and match some of the best bits from the technology space. So we have distributed ledger technology, but at the same time, we also have bits stolen from BitTorrents, for example, so distributed hash tables. So the tech itself is not new per se, but the combination of all these different bits of tech is actually what makes it new and exciting. Their key focus is on the agent, so agent centrism. Now, you as an agent, you will have all of your actions stored in a hash chain. So you will control your data and you will control your identity. You will sign everything with your private key. They're going to be working with DHT, or a distributed hash table. We'll also have a form of sharding in here as well. There is no consensus mechanism as we normally understand it, but there is a system of distributed validation rules, which they're calling DNA. They'll also be utilizing the gossip protocol. Now, this is used to share information about malicious actors with other nodes within the ecosystem. So this is acting as what they call the immune system, which would then revoke access to the ecosystem to malicious nodes. They're going to have a proof of service. Now, it's conceptually a bit similar to proof of work. You really need to build up your reputation here in order to, of course, not get kicked out and be seen as a malicious node. But this is going to be backed by computing power. So the bigger the network becomes, the more HoloFuel that can be issued out. The supply of HoloFuel, by the way, can expand and contract based on the need for HoloFuel. They really want to help bridge the gap between kind of the tech and the learning curve and really make it an easy user experience, kind of building on top of the existing infrastructure that is already there. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, make a better wheel, so to speak. They want to rethink the way that we do dApps. So the more popular an app becomes, the more hosting power it receives, which is pretty interesting. They're going to have something called RAD tools. I like the name for it. Essentially, we're going to have some developer tools, which are going to be really easy to kickstart any applications on HoloChain, as well as familiar programming languages, which are going to help make adoption easy as well. There's going to be a focus on having asset-backed value-stable cryptos. So in the case of HoloFuel, it'll be backed up by computing power. Now, the possible use cases for HoloChain are things like the sharing economy, but also supply chain and social media. Just take a moment, stop and think. How many likes, people clicking just the like button on Facebook, happen every second? It's like 500,000. That is a mind-boggling amount of information. And when you stop to consider, wow, all that information couldn't cross across blockchains right now. You know, Ethereum just couldn't handle it. And so you really need a much more robust system to be able to handle those kind of massive user bases and mass functionality, mass amounts of data. HoloChain may just fill that gap. Now, it's a very exciting project, but of course you have to remember, this is not a blockchain, guys. They really like to point that out. But you can actually build your own blockchain on top of HoloChain, which is pretty interesting. And while it is not a blockchain, it does seek to address some of the problems of blockchain technology, or their perceived problems of blockchain technology, it doesn't go all the way towards solving all of blockchain's woes. Of course, you will still be susceptible to things like user error by using HoloChain. And of course, they haven't had a chance yet to think about future-proofing HoloChain against quantum computing. Something to keep in mind. There is a separate hardware element which is being sold on Indiegogo. That may be a problem. Now, they will also trying to make it so easy you can run a node off of your phone, but there will also be these hardware elements. So that's an extra thing for people to buy to help run the network. They do have a good explainer video on their main page, but it could be a little more professional. I think overall, hiring some good media people to push a more professional image for HoloChain will be a good use of their funds moving forward. The concept, while very interesting, does need to be proven in terms of security. And if we had, for example, an early critical bug, this could be quite detrimental for attracting a long-term user base. So that's something to keep in mind. The proof, of course, will be in the pudding, as they say. Now, they're looking to use a lot of the existing network and framework of the internet, just making it better with HoloChain technology. There's a lot of other projects out there, though, that do want to rewrite the way we think of the internet and how we know it, how we use it. They all have their own innovative ways of doing it, and according to what HoloChain is bringing forward, a lot of those other blockchains or applications could actually run on top of HoloChain. So that's interesting. Of course, will people use it? Will companies want it? Will developers want it? That's a question to ask yourself as well when blockchain technology is getting so much hype to come out and say, hey, we're definitely not blockchain, but here's our solution. Some people will hop onto that. Maybe others won't. We do have to see if that'll happen, of course. Liquidity may prove to be an issue when it moves from its ERC20 placeholder token, which is what you would currently buy if you were to go over to an exchange and buy some. We'll talk about the price action momentarily here. But let's see how that actually gets implemented, because think about, for example, IOTA and the problem that a lot of exchanges have had trying to implement wallets for that. HoloChain may experience a similar kind of situation. And even though there's a lot of hype around HoloChain right now, and I think it's a very interesting project with some really great minds developing some really cool tech and applications of course, existing technology to make the internet a better place, we still have quite low liquidity. And of course, what will be the market response post switchover? Because they are offering a new model. They want to shift paradigms to an extent, and blockchain for a lot of people is already a learning curve and a paradigm shift. Will this catch on? Perhaps something to think about. Now, if you want to grab some, currently the market cap's only $150 million. Only, of course, trading for 1/10 of a cent, but there is a massive circulating supply of 133 billion. So that's quite large. But of course, if HoloChain takes off, you could really see some growth happening here. Again, as mentioned, liquidity is rather low. Currently, you can pick it up on IDEX or Hotbit or FatBTC or Radar Relay, which has very, very low liquidity. IDEX, though, would be your best place if you want to get over there and grab some. I know some of you guys are a bit like, IDEX, not quite sure how it works. It's pretty easy. I'm going to be making an explainer video on it for you guys here in the near future, but don't be afraid to get over there and play around with IDEX a little bit. It's not so scary. But anyway, guys, those are just the thoughts of a guy talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. You'll let me know what you think about HoloChain in the comment section down below. Long live the blockchain, or the HoloChain, we should say. And peace out till next time.